Buchanan. Pastor Anthony Hoisington asked if I would come in this format and speak with you about a book that came out a few months after I was with you last time. I came in February of 2020, just before the global lockdowns around COVID. Really enjoyed my time with you. And a few months after that, this book of mine, God Walk, came out. And Anthony asked if I would say a few things about that. I feel it a great privilege that I can do that. In John's Gospel, chapter 5, Jesus performs an astonishing miracle. There's a man who has been on his back for 38 years, no capacity to move himself. It seems like even he's lost the use of his arms. And so he lies by a pool in Jerusalem, hoping somehow that he could get into the pool, somebody would carry him there, believing, probably superstitiously, that the pool has some kind of healing virtues. But for 38 years, he's been out of luck. Nobody will take him there. And there he lies. Jesus comes along on a Sabbath day. Jesus leaves a big party going on in Jerusalem. It's kind of in the nature of Jesus to leave the party to find the one. And he finds this man and he inquires. Jesus, though in very nature God, gave up some of his omniscience as a condition of walking among us. And so he inquires, that guy there, how long has he been there? He's told 38 years. So he turns to the man and he says, do you want to get well? Which seems to me a crazy question. Of course he does. But the man doesn't say yes. He complains. He makes excuses. And maybe I do get this guy not offering a robust, yes, of course I want to get well. There's some conditions I've lived with so long that I've made my peace with them almost. They become friends. They become sources of comfort. And I don't know if I want Jesus to take them away, those things that allow me to kind of blame others for the way I am. Anyhow, Jesus abruptly intervenes in this man's life and he says, get up, pick up your mat and walk. Seemingly gruff commandments, except that the man does it. And not only is, after 38 years of not being able to walk, is he able to get up and indeed walk and leap and dance and run, but all of the sense of balance, all of the atrophied muscle, all of the bone that's gone thin and brittle from years of lying there, somehow miraculously that is all restored. It's a great story. Get up, pick up your mat and walk. When I wrote the book God Walk, I was trying to recover that sense of the miraculous in everyday walking. After I do this recording, I'm actually going to go for my daily walk. I usually walk about 3 to 4 miles a day. Not super fast, but briskly enough, around 3 miles an hour, which is a pretty good clip. And I do it for a number of reasons. One is the just physical benefits of it. But in the book God Walk, I talk about a lot more than the physical benefits. I talk about the forming of us through this ancient practice of walking. Indeed, the argument I make is that I think the physical discipline associated with Christianity throughout the ages is walking. You know, Hinduism has yoga, Confucianism has Tai Chi. We have all these physical disciplines in other world religions that correspond to the religious practices, spiritual practices, but we have none in Christianity unless walking is that practice. And I make the claim in the book that indeed it is, that the way that the people throughout the Bible story actually connected with God as they walked with God. Enoch walked with God. Noah walk with God. Of course, Adam and Eve in the garden, he would come and walk in the cool of the day, and implicitly they walked with him. We get into the New Testament, we see Jesus as he comes upon the earth, walks everywhere, walks with his disciples. So much discipleship, so much formation, so much of him telling them and showing them what the kingdom of God is like comes through walking. Paul walked most of the ancient Mediterranean. When he wasn't sailing around from point to point, he was walking. I think that's how the faith got deeply into people, how they worked it out in not just intellectually, theologically, doctrinally, but into bone and marrow and breath and muscle. They walked, they walked, they walked. I'm going to urge you, if you don't already have a practice of it, to walk, and to urge you to do it in a mindful way, in a way that you're attentive, not just to what God might be saying, but certainly and fundamentally that, but what's going on, what's inside of you, what's around you, who's the person, if you're walking with somebody, who really are they? This is a marvelous, well-known passage in Micah, the prophet Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. What does the Lord want from you? And he answers, by the way, he's the few verses before, he's proposed a number of other things the Lord might want. Does he want sort of religious practices, all sorts of extravagant acts of worship, etc.? And what Micah says, actually, there's really one thing God's asking of you. He wants you to be like him, to do justly, to love mercy. And then he names a third thing, Micah does, and to walk humbly with your God. But I wonder if it is a third thing. I think that the way we become God-like in the best way, not in terms of trying to be everywhere at once and know all things and have all power, but in the way of humility, in the way of generosity, in the way of kindness, in the way of love, in the way of grace, the way we become like God in those ways, the way we do justly and love mercy is by walking with God. I don't think it's a third thing. I think it's a path to the formation, the conformity of our lives to the character of God. What is the Lord asking of you? To walk humbly with him, and in that walking and listening to, yes, God, listen to whoever you might be walking with, listen to the creation, listen to what's really going on inside of you. And he wants to call you to be like him. Love, mercy, do justly by walking humbly with your God. Thanks so much.